give you some things that I am creating. They're going to be some wall hangings, and at the moment what I'm doing is adding the beading work. This is quite a slow process. These are very fine seed beads, and so I'm just picking them up, and the colour theme is green on this particular wall hanging. I'm doing 4 of them as part of a body of work, and I can give you a sneak preview of a couple of some of the others. They're in the process. Okay, so that's another one, and all the painting's been done. It is just the beadwork that I'm adding. So it's that one, and the one that I really, it's got some of my favourite colours is this one. One of the things I really like about doing these wall hangings, and I've just made some, these are the largest ones I've done so far, but I decided to go bigger because of the effect that you get. Yeah, obviously if you're kind of using a lot of small beads, it's going to take a lot longer for you to complete the piece of work, but I guess I feel it's worth it. The amount of work it takes, the end result that you get, I think it's definitely worth it. It's such a beautiful thing when you see it, the finished piece hanging up. It wasn't really in my mind to kind of get involved in this type of work. I normally do portraits, but I found over the years that when the various things that I tried, so I tried I wanted to do jewellery and make my own earrings and jewellery and things like that, and I do now, but I do it in a different way. I don't use a lot of these beads, but I found that I had lots of tools that, you know, like the bead making tools, the pliers and everything, and the beads obviously, and I didn't want to just give them away because I wanted to be a painter. I wanted to see how I could utilize them all, and I hadn't really got any idea before embarking on the mixed media trail. And it was when I started to see examples of mixed media and the fact that you could, you know, combine different things, it just kind of opened up a whole new world for me, because I could then see a use for creating on fabric. You know, I wanted to create on fabric, and then also use the things that I was going to make, you know, jewelry from. I could then incorporate them, and that was fine. And then I began to relax my ideas as to, you know, what art really is. You know, it is subjective. It is what the person gets out of it. What I feel when I see a particular piece of art might be different, you know, is very different from what somebody else feels. And for me, it is about an emotional response, whether you really like something or you really dislike something, a piece of art. And but the fact is, it's created that emotional response, and it was the freedom of being able to express myself in whatever medium I felt. It wasn't that I just had to paint. It was that if I wanted to just draw, or if I wanted to paint on fabric, or if I wanted to express myself by creating a piece of wearable art, then it was something that I could do. And that feeling of being able to express myself, I was able to do that. And, you know, I think the different surfaces that we use as artists, well, for me, using particular surfaces gives me a different feeling. So when I'm working on canvas, Well, it's similar because, you know, like the fabric is a canvas, but I can be freer. I will do more abstract work on canvas, on a fabric that I will use as a wall hanging than I would maybe say in a on a canvas where I normally create paintings. But I also you know, use some of the techniques I would use for fabric by bringing the beading work into on a canvas, on an art canvas as well. So it was about being able to be free. I wanted to learn techniques, say like the quilting techniques, but I didn't necessarily want to make a traditional quilt. I wanted to employ the sewing and stitching and the visual elements that, you know, the creating layers and then being able to sew into it, because this is like almost like, you know, using a brush, you know, adding the different color beads and all of this. For me, is like, you know, I'm using a fine brush to create another effect. So like with these beads now, what I will do is, at the moment I'm just threading them on, and then I would go and secure along this line with a thread. But that's like work to do when I'm like sitting down and like wanting to kind of spend time with the family. But the other thing, like, you know, not all of this is flat, some of it is puckered, but that adds to the effect. You know, when you see it on the wall, it's not about perfection, it's about expression. So that's one of the things that I do in terms of the fabric work. And you know, I hope that if you were thinking of maybe doing something yourself, that, you know, you get the confidence to be able to say, okay, well, I'm going to try this. You know, try it. Don't think, oh well, no, nobody else is using these particular materials together. You can be the first. You don't have to follow what everybody else is doing. And again, it's about expression. And something that I have to keep reminding myself is that, you know, when I'm specifically when I'm, you know, painting like a scene, or that it's about my expression, my story. It's not about what other people expect to see. Like you might expect to see you know, like things done in a particular way. Let me see, how can I express this? Again, it's, if I draw 4 squares, say for instance, these 4 squares, now you as the viewer, you didn't know that if I decide to draw 5, that, oh, there's supposed to be 4. There isn't no, it's supposed to look like this. You know, so I can add or I can take away and I can change it to suit myself. It's not about what I feel somebody expects to see. That's really what I'm trying to say. It's about, again, it's about reminding myself, this is how you are expressing yourself. You can feel free with expressing yourself in this way. It doesn't have to conform to anything you perceive other people want to see. And so when I'm adding color, you know, if it doesn't feel right for me, then I'll remove it, I'll go over it.